Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to team meeting number 88, or is it 89 now? Rob?
I think it's 89. We'll call it 89 anyway.
Wow, 89 now. Whoever thought I was reading. I have to tell you this. I was reading the other day a piece on Medium, one that sadly had been taken already, by a different publication. But they said that your first 100 something. So whether it's your first 100 blog posts, your first 100 podcasts, your first 100, whatever, stink. They're absolutely awful. These are the first 100 are the ones that you use to learn how to do it properly. And so I know in these 89 that we've done up to now, I think I've learned so much. I think I've learned so much about talking, about making sure that I don't repeat myself. Try not to use certain words. I'm amazed there. So how about you?
You're slightly breaking up in
sorry.
terms of the connection, so just check the maybe the feed is a little scrambled. But no, you're right. Boy, it's been a little over 2 years. And yeah, we're learning a ton, and we're getting closer and closer to takeoff, which is what I want to talk about a little bit today. Is that this for the past week or so, we've been helping Burlington College with 2 classes that they've asked us to help their professors with, and that's also going to be bringing in a bunch of different students that'll be able to check out our materials and that we'll be interacting with and onboarding, which is great. We've also been checking out other ways in which to approach institutions for for recruitment, in terms of having them teach our classes, the classes that our faculty have developed. The really interesting thing about both Burlington College and a couple of others is that they really need courses in helping students understand what online learning is about. And there's also a lot of work in terms of faculty development, and there have been a bunch of different professors that have designed those classes, and we're going to be pitching and selling to them in the next. They want us to do faculty development work, so we're going to be putting the final touches on that. So what this means is that we need to keep producing content. And that what we're going to be doing is, as we produce content, we become more attractive to institutions, especially smaller institutions that need to increase their enrollment, but also increase their course offerings. Now, I want to make a slight another announcement to James Willis, who might be listening if he hasn't gotten his email yet. He sent me an email. He goes, "Rob, there's a teacher listed on my class." It's James teaches a great class on singularity, about beyond humanity, about the singularity, about the future of technology. And he was like, "Rob, according to the contract, remember that only that I own the class, and you can't be replacing me with another teacher, because when I was fixing an account, I accidentally put teacher instead of observer on that class." And I wrote him instantly back and said, "James, you have nothing to worry about. We will never sell your material to another institution or replace you so that you're not teaching your material. That's why we have the faculty contract, and why it clearly states that you own the class and that you're allowed to teach a class for as many times as you want to teach it, so long as you get good reviews and you're with your students. Good reviews, and you've got students for your class. So please, if there's a little mistake like that, let me know, but don't ever think that we're going to take away your class or give away your materials to any other university and allow them to teach it. Absolutely not. So we're changing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, and remember, because all the material we've also said it's all copyrighted by you, it's all owned by you. So you pass it on, all the rights to your material, you pass it on to your children and I think it even goes to your children's children.
Yeah, well, and we're just not going to do that. I mean, we want to change the dynamic between faculty, between adjunct faculty, institutions, and their students, and we want to put you faculty back in charge. Now, we've gotten a couple of different applications. Last week I announced, and it's on the website, a job, which is Director of Institutional Sales. and we'll be doing some interviews with those people. The applications have been from the Northeast, and I think what we may do is we may concentrate a little bit more on the Northeast of the U.S., basically because I think what will end up happening is these people are going to be chasing down leads. They're going to be doing the introductions, but then eventually they're going to have to see the people who are involved in this project, and that's when I will show up, and I'll also be working with the sales force, and that's when I will use the word Dr. Skiff in terms of being introduced and play the role of the academic. Again, we're going to be offering content. We're offering the content with a professor. So it's a great deal for institutions, and it'll be nice to have somebody more full-time doing that role. So we want to find the right person, but it's a great job for someone who's starting out, who's interested in academia and wants to get in again on the ground floor, with Oplerno. We've already got a lot of great teachers, but it's really, really important to push the institutional sales initially as we build out and find those wild and revolutionary students. In the States, it's Martin Luther King Day, so most schools are not having classes, and so happy MLK Day, a great philosopher of peaceful nonviolence and social change and civil rights, and we would do well to have every day be Martin Luther King Day. All right. Daniel, do you want to talk a little bit the login issues? Any login issues that you're seeing that are cropping up, or the tech pieces?
No, I don't want to say I'm amazed, because of course I expected it, but there haven't been any login issues, and I've been monitoring it. At least any login issues that came through technical errors. There have been some user errors where they've put in the wrong password, but you've usually recovered that without much issue. I saw one reset password coming by, so one person who didn't realize what the password was, or didn't realize that they still had the same password, and that all worked. It works all fine. So I'm very happy with our changeover, and that's a lot of our troubles have gone away. We've also been getting quite a number of. We still have, of course, the old marketplace. So we have a number of students who have just still been signing up onto the old marketplace. So I've been redirecting them also via the mail to go and have a look at the new marketplace to see what they can do there. But they log in, they give us their email address, so I'm quite happy with that. It's always good to get the information in that way.
Yeah, if you have the old email address, what we're doing is you'll log in, and you can log in like you were normally. But if you want to recover your password, it goes to your Oplerno email. Okay. Now we now have the ability to send that email to another place, that recovery email. So if you have logged on and you're having trouble, or you've been locked out, or something along that line has happened, please shoot us an email. We'll be sending out a message about that later on this week. Right now, though, we're concentrating a lot on making sure that the faculty and the students of Burlington College have everything they need. We'll still meet your needs, obviously, but it's really fun to have a little bit, have some more customers, and be the embryonic institution. Which is a lot of fun. Anything you want to talk about in terms of the higher ed rev? And then there's just one article that I'd like to discuss, and sort of what it means.
So now, as far as the higher ed revolution goes, there's a. I love promoting also other publications. So there's a new publication called Student Voices, really, really interesting publication. Oplerno has been asked to write something for them, so of course we've submitted something to them. Interesting upcoming. So if you want more information, send me an email or tweet me or something like that. But higher ed revolution, fantastic. But we're going well. We have over close to 1,500 people. I'm amazed. I've also asked for new writers to come on board, or put out a call for new writers to come aboard. So if you have something that you want to write, or you have something interesting subject you want to discuss, whether it's about your course, whether it's about another interesting subject on higher education, you're very welcome to submit it, and we'll publish it in Higher Ed Revolution, and give it out to the 1,500 readers and our 4,500 followers on our various Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts and everywhere. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and I really notice now, say the power of if we tweet something out, or if we send out a message or whatever, really see how many people actually come back and react to that, and like, they're actually getting a lot of feedback, and that's really, really nice. So yeah, anybody's welcome to write and submit something to that.
Great. Yeah, Higher Ed Rev is excellent. I like reading it, and it's my main Medium feed. And yeah, check it out. There was an article that's been popping up a lot, which is a discussion that Harvard is having about making their tuition free. Harvard being a free tuition place. That's a really great thing for Harvard. But one thing that they didn't kind of say is, how much does it cost to make a new seat at Harvard? In other words, when a student is admitted, what's the infrastructure cost to have a student to add a seat at Harvard? Okay, so in other words, you've got to build a physical plant. You've got to make sure they've got a chair at the cafeteria. You have to make sure that they've got a dorm room. You have to make sure that they've got, the athletic facilities and all those extra particular things, internet bandwidth. Well, the calculation is roughly, it costs $1 million to add another seat at Harvard for an undergraduate. Now, I think it's wonderful. Harvard is one of the wealthiest institutions, if not the wealthiest institution in the country in terms of its endowment. And with that endowment money and basically, their endowment is like a hedge fund. They're making a lot of money on all kinds of different investments that they then pour back into the institution. It is great that they are going to potentially make their enrollment free. They can do that with their large endowment. Are they going to be expanding their enrollment of Harvard? Are they going to add, for Harvard to add another 1,000 people? That would be an investment of potentially $1 billion just for 1,000. And there were big battles at Harvard when they increased their undergraduate enrollment just a little bit by 100 or so, which happened, I think, a decade or so ago. And when you think about just adding 100 students or adding 1,000 students to an educational institution like that, when you have 1 billion people who want access to higher education and better education, I think it's great that Harvard is potentially going to make it free for everybody, but that's free for an incredibly small percentage of the population. And it's also free to an incredibly small percentage of the population who already are going to do probably quite well in terms of their social, economic, and political opportunity, and their social, political, and economic capital they have access to. So everybody's going to be talking about how this is a great move by Harvard, but let's realize that nothing is free, that the money has to come from somewhere. And what we should be concentrating on is stuff like Oplerno is doing, which is let's create the most open system possible, where there's a lot of information about the faculty, where there's a lot of information about the courses you're going to be taking, and there's a lot of choice for students so they can find exactly what they want and exactly what they need at the lowest cost. If Harvard would like to write Oplerno a check for $1 million, we can certainly deploy that in a way that will get things hopping for a lot more than one undergraduate student. So that's kind of my take on the article. It was a nice piece, but it was sort of like, they're already, it's not going to cost anything for Harvard. It's going to cost Harvard some money, but it's not a really huge push in terms of revolution in education, in my opinion. It's a great gesture. What was your take?
Yeah, well, my take was that indeed it's a great gesture. I think we've had it. We talked in the past, and that we've seen discussed some blog articles around about elite institutions, and I would say the Ivy League institutions, or higher, or even in the UK, the Cambridge, Oxford. That a lot of these are not so much selling education. I mean, the education is, of course, very good. It's not the most exceptional, as we found from recent league tables. It's not the very best education you can get for the price, but it is extremely good education. And I think that you get far more from those. It's far less about the education, and far more about the networking, far more about being admitted into this boys' club, into this elite institution, this elite club of people. And of course, that's extremely important. But if you're going for the education, if you're actually going for the knowledge, then there are far better ways and far cheaper ways. And even if they make it free, it's still going to be extremely expensive.
Yep, expensive for somebody else who's, some other investment. You can look at Harvard's investments and where they're making their money, and you can see who the companies and the institutions that they've invested in, whether you feel that that's ethical, whether that's adding to social justice and humanity, or whether it's taking away. One other thing, I think I'll leave it there. Let's leave it there. Otherwise, we'll go off in terms of becoming even more radical. And we'll just we'll stop. Please remember, if you've got questions, hit at questions@oplerno.com. There's a lot going on. If you want to get in contact with us and join the movement, contact us, and we'll get back to you. And thank you very much for the tweets, because a couple of people have retweeted or liked what we've been saying in the meeting, and we really appreciate that. If you want to come on, contact us. Meeting, contact us. Yeah. We'll get back to you.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was me. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. So have a good day, and we'll see you all online.
Thank you very much, and see you all online.